Best I can.
That's all right. That's all right. At least you are awake in time for the show.
Who, me or
Yeah,
Dvon?
yeah, you.
I was awake.
Hey, I was awake too.
Awake and ready.
Are you gonna perform for us?
No, because Amaya just got up, so Talia is kind of in and out of it. But if I hit that drums right now, Dave, what are you doing, stupid? You know the damn baby's asleep.
All right. Well, maybe next time.
We spent some time at your place, and it can get pretty loud. Your baby can sleep through a lot.
Not Talia, not the 2-year-old.
Oh no, not Talia.
No, not her. But
and that's the one that needs to sleep and get the rest.
Yeah.
Well, we got a lot of people already commenting, very excited for a guest who will be joining us in progress. Big Liv Morgan fan, Livy. I assume they know each other personally.
They must. Absolutely,
Sebastian literally rushed home from work to watch this.
Literally.
You can't miss this.
Thank you for rushing home.
And then Liv back, bet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And then this one has nothing to do with Liv. Happy Wednesday. Who says
Happy
that?
Wednesday.
No, appreciate that.
Thank you.
And hello, my favorite crazy people. It's been a while. Obviously, it's John's talking to the two of you there.
No, I'm not crazy. I'm fine.
I took a page out of Lindsay's book. I have my cup.
Very nice. What's in it?
What's in said cup?
Same thing Lindsay puts in hers.
Water. You're so healthy.
That good old fashioned wine.
What kind do you have today? I have a nice Pinot Grigio.
I have the Pinot Grigio as well.
Oh, cool. Well, I'm almost out. Can you pour me some more?
I got it for a Father's Day present. So I was like, why not? I chilled it too. I put it in the refrigerator. It's been there overnight.
So fancy.
So
wow.
Nice.
Chilled vino.
We're going to see drunk Dvon. Dvon drunkly by the end of the show.
No, you'll never see that. It's going to take more than a half a cup of Pinot to get that way. Now, if I was on edibles, that'd be a different story.
And we also don't know how many of those you've had.
I haven't had any today.
Mm-hmm.
That you remember.
No, because we're going to Cleveland, Ohio. We're going to Akron to visit Taylor's family. So, and I always have a great time when I go up there. So,
just watch the book. Make sure if you take the book with you, don't lose it again.
Oh my God, that's right. I'm glad you reminded me. Her grandmother kept the sex book. I forgot about that. Yes, her grandmother kept the sex book, and when I was looking for it the day I left the last time, oh, she had no idea where it was. Then mysteriously it popped up. I was like, I bet it did, Grandma.
I bet it did.
I bet it did.
Listen.
Yep,
okay.
you and Taylor's grandfather got to stop doing stuff.
Anyway.
No, this is the funny part. Taylor told me this. I think I was at the wrestling school, and the grandfather was watching TV in the living room, and the grandmother was around with the kids. So Taylor gave her grandfather a gummy. So he's feeling no pain at this point. He goes in the room. Her grandmother comes in, and she's kind of reaching for something on the floor, trying to pick things up that the kids had dropped. Meanwhile, the grandfather turns around and sees it and just goes. Taylor was horrified.
Oh my
God! What the hell?
Wait a minute. It's not kind of what you want to see.
I mean, nothing you want to see your grandfather trying to smack your grandmother's ass.
No, I mean that's sweet.
What's that commercial? I think it's the Downey commercial, one of those commercials where the grandparents are trying to put the thing up in the top of the shelf, but they're making all sorts of noise doing it. The grandson comes up and he's like, "What the hell?" They come out, their shirts all wrinkled.
Yeah.
I told Taylor, I was like, "You felt like that kid, didn't you?" She was like, "I was that kid."
So when are you guys doing that? When are you hitting the road?
Tomorrow, actually.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to travel this weekend for work or anything?
No, I do, but I'm leaving from there.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. And do have a question from Byron. Want to know, I assume he meant the SmackDown crowd seemed quite hyped. Did it last the whole show?
It did. It lasted the whole show. Here's the one thing I will say. Out of the years that I've been wrestling in certain arenas and things like that that's on TV, sometimes you don't hear the crowd the way we hear it in the arena. Sometimes the TV doesn't give that real effect. Sometimes you do, sometimes it doesn't. And let me tell you something. Man, this past week, having those fans back in that arena made such a huge difference. I can't begin to tell you, SmackDown was on fire, you know, and I mean, I loved every bit of it, every match. When the lights went out and we showed the graphic on the screen, you know, like they normally do when they open up the show, the freaking place went crazy. You could have sworn The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H in their prime came out. That's how loud it was.
Well,
everybody,
I got a similar question here. Wants to know what your reaction to John Cena returning. Wasn't on SmackDown, but obviously that was a part of your weekend.
I think it was. I think it's a great thing. Listen, it to me, John Cena returning is only going to help business. You know, and I was thinking about this in the car ride, returning my car back last night to the rent-a-car center. I'm like, these fans will sit up there and say John Cena sucks, you know, what have you. They'll sit, you know, you do the chant, let's go Cena sucks.
Yeah.
And, you know, you hear that all the time in the arenas before we go live on TV, and they do it a lot when Cena's there. Sometimes you get those loud boos and blah, 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 but you get the people jumping up at their seat at the same time. My thing is, as much as they hate them, they love him. As much as they like as much as they like to say they hate him, they love him.
Now, Lindsay, when he says booze, he means booing, not loud alcohol.
See, I was so excited about that. The booze.
I know she thought you were talking about boobies.
That was gonna be my second guess. And then I was like, oh, like boo.
Let me try to defend the John Cena hating audience. Like, I was happy to see him this weekend. Don't get me wrong.
Yes,
it was a breath of fresh
was.
air.
Yes, he was.
But when Cena was working on a week-to-week basis, the reason why I got a little tired or fatigued of him is because there had been no character development, which, imagine Harry Potter in the first book having no difference in personality by the end of the last book. And like,
that'd be weird.
Cena was just the same character. I'm not taking anything away from his work in the ring or anything like that, but just character-wise, we've been trained that there should be, you know, some sort of story arc, and he didn't really have that.
But I think he made up in his promos and his in-ring performance that he did in the ring. I mean, look, as far as I'm concerned, I think, and a lot of other people think, Cena should have turned heel. I think if he would have turned heel, my God, you know, he would have been probably one of the most over heel since the NWO with Hogan turning. I mean, I think it would have been that good. I don't know. I think people just, you have people that love him and you have people that hate him. I mean, it is what it is. But to go on another note, the pay-per-view Money in the Bank, excellent from top to bottom. The girls' Money in the Bank match, excellent. Big surprise, huge surprise with the winner of that match being Nikki Cross. I loved it. And, you know, I was blessed enough to produce the tag team match, the Usos and the
Mysterios.
Usos and the Mysterios. I almost said the New Day. But my God, I mean, what a show that they put on to top things off. I mean, it was freaking phenomenal. And again, you know, talking about Cena returning, can't forget about the, you know, Roman Reigns Edge match. I mean, that was excellent. I mean, it really was. I mean, Money in the Bank was great from top to bottom. The crowd was excellent. It was hot. And Monday Night Raw continued. I mean, as much as I was the first time I was away from my family for 3 or 4 days. I left on Thursday, came back home last night. So that was the longest I've ever been away. But I tell you, man, it was, I mean, as much as I miss my family, I loved being a part of that WWE experience this past week.
Now, did the family miss you?
Oh,
yes, Taylor. Yes, I was going to send you a video. Taylor got me. I was coming off the plane and, you know, coming through, going down the baggage claim. And Talia saw me, runs up, Daddy, you know, made me feel great. So,
oh, so sweet.
Yeah. And Amaya got mad because I took Talia first and didn't take her. So I go to reach for Amaya. She turned her face. I was like Amaya. She was just mad at me. She wouldn't talk to me.
For shame. I was going to ask how the road treated you, and
yeah, it really did. It treated me great. Don't get me wrong. I miss being home. every time I talked to Taylor and the girls, I was just like, God, I want to be home. But at the same token, I was so loving the experience I was receiving. I mean, it was truly a happening. To me, it was like a WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah,
it really
felt
was.
like as a viewer on the outside, just the crowds were so rambunctious all weekend long.
I mean, everybody from the beginning of the show to the end of the show performed and did exactly what we expected them to do, and that was entertain and make it exciting. I'm so proud to be a part of the WWE. I know I say my things to you guys off camera. Sometimes I get frustrated with certain things, but you know something? That proved right there that my home is WWE and nowhere else.
Royal Rumble 2022.
Awesome. Yes.
And even if I don't get a chance to wrestle in the Royal Rumble ever, I'm okay. WWE is still my home. And I realized that when I was in TNA, as much as I, again, hopped on TNA, I got to stop doing that. And I admit that I was wrong for saying some of the things I said, but I was only mad at the office, the people that were in charge, not the company in itself. And I remember just wanting to come back here to WWE so bad during that time of my frustration. And when I finally got back, I just felt like I was home. And even now, without the crowd, it was like a different feel, a different vibe. But now the crowd comes back, and it's like being home all over again. When people were asked in interviews and amongst each other, what's the feeling like being back? A lot of people couldn't describe it because it was like a feeling that you never felt, because we had been in limbo for so long. It was a year and a half, almost 2 years without crowd and without normalcy. And now we're getting it back. And it's like, oh my God, you don't realize what you got until it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sebastian says, actually, that'd be something that'd make for an interesting episode. Are you just talking about your TNA tenure?
Yeah, I mean, it would. But you know what? Again, I was mad at the office. I was mad at the people behind the scenes. I wasn't mad at the company. I wasn't mad at the talent, of course. I got along with everybody. It was just the people. Yeah. It was just the people that ran the company. I thought had no business running it. When Jeff Jarrett left, I think it went down to the crapper. I think it really did. I think it lost its edge and everything. A lot of people talk about Jeff Jarrett, but he helped keep together TNA.
Yeah.
When he was there, he knew he had there was a wrestling mind. The minute you start getting wrestling minds in wrestling business that don't know the business, it's a recipe for disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it really is. They try to bring corporate world into the locker room. They try to bring corporate world to everything else. It sucks. Yeah, I miss Aces and Eights too. It was a fantastic time in my life.
That was good stuff right there. Seam wants to know, did you want to return to WWE's version of ECW in 2006?
No, I didn't want to return. I mean, we did the One Night Stand, which was WWE's version of ECW, but I think the fans will agree with me that ECW was not the same when WWE took it over. And that's not taking anything away from Vince. It was just a magic that we had back when I got there from 96 to 99. It was just that ECW was just totally different. And by the time Vince got his hands on it, it had already played out. It had already fizzled out. So if you wanted to ask me if I would love to return back to 1996, 97, 98, absolutely. That was such a great time. ECW helped change the face of professional wrestling and made what we call the Attitude Era, put that in existence. If it wasn't for ECW, there would have been no Attitude Era. So as far as I'm concerned, those were the best years and the only years that I think I would ever want to go back in terms of ECW.
That makes sense. Anybody tuning in wondering where Liv is, Liv will be joining us in progress. Also have ERIK Davis of Fandango, professional movie reviewer, pop culture expert, talking about summer movies and helping clarify some horror stuff for Dvon, who was a little confused. But before we get to any of that, though, Dvon, I was just telling Lindsay before we took the airwaves, before you joined us, about a post I saw, like some wrestling dirt sheet that took a still shot of every match from Money in the Bank and underneath put who produced it. So on there, Dvon was there for the tag match on the pre-show, and then Chris Parks and all these other people. But what I thought was funny is I clicked on it just because I was curious to see what the comments were, and there was one guy in there, Darren. I don't remember his last name, but Darren doesn't like you very much. He said it was the worst match on the card, where you would then be proud to see a lot of people like, actually, that was one of the best matches on the card. Like, there was a lot of praise for your producing, but he didn't like it because of some real life stuff that happened with one of the competitors recently, and thought that you, Dvon, should have stood up to Vince McMahon and changed the outcome.
Right, because he would have done the same thing. Bullshit. And if he's looking at if he's watching this show right now, which the creep probably is,
hey, Darren.
go F yourself. You're full of you know what. Because if Vince McMahon was standing in front of you right now, you would have not have done that. And you know something? We all have our personal demons. Understand one thing: we're all not perfect. Not one of us who's even watching this show or around the wrestling world can look at themselves in the mirror and say they can throw stones at somebody. So Darren, before you start throwing stones at that brother for his demons that he's gonna conquer, and he will, instead of putting him down, why don't you lift him up and say congratulations? Give him some good life, not negativity. We have that enough in the world. We don't need people like you raining on people's parade. You sit back in your grandmother's basement or your mother's basement with the apple pie coming down and watch the show, and stop being a producer. Because if you were any good at what you thought you were good at, you would be working for WWE, but you're not. You're just a sorry excuse for a human being to even sit there and say that about that brother.
That was a much better response than I expected. Thank you for that. But that's the thing. It's like I wanted to almost reach out to this guy, bring him on the show to see if he could stand up to you for not standing up to Vince McMahon.
Of course not. As far as I'm concerned, he's probably still bobsledding out of his mother's vagina. Never mind.
My God. Oh, okay.
See, that makes me want to go back into ECW mode when I hear stuff like that. I mean, seriously. I mean, you got to look at it this way. That brother, and I know exactly who he's talking about. I think we all do, and I'm not going to say his name on the show, but okay, he has his personal demons, just like everybody else in the wrestling industry, just like everybody else in the world. That don't mean you stopped them. Listen, did anything tragic happen? No. Could have? Yes, I get that and understand that fully. But he's fighting through it, and he's getting the help that he needs. Don't sit there and bash him. That man performs his ass up in that ring and does what he does. So for you to sit there and say, I should have stood up for him and went to Vince McMahon. Bitch, shut up. You would have did it your damn self. Please. You would have crawled in that corner, like I said, in your grandmother's basement waiting for her to come down with the apple pie. All right? Get the hell up, leave it to Beaver.
Darren, if you are watching this,
go to hell, Darren.
I'll take some of that apple pie. That's
okay. I have so many questions.
If
but
it's
not...
free, then
Listen, I would say
say
other things too, but I know that things are being said. I would tell him, I say he needs to go to prison, and well, I'll stop there.
Well, let me add off of what he was saying, or at least bounce off of that. In your role as a producer, how much? I mean, obviously you help build the match and tell that story, but is there times that you may go up to Vince or whomever and say, hey, I don't think it should go down like that? Like, how free are you to do something like that?
You can. I mean, you just better have a plan B in hand and another plan that will make the match better than the original idea that he might have come up with. Okay. I mean, he's all open for that. Vince is not closed-minded to all of that. Sure. If he has an idea and he wants it to be shown on TV, but you come up with something a little better and he feels that way, he'll use it. There's not a problem with that. Vince is very open with that. He actually asked for that from his producers. So
are you sure? Good. Are you sure? You said that out loud. I'm sure somebody's gonna like, Vince doesn't listen to any of his producers. Like, I feel like that's something the dirt sheets should jump on right now.
Right.
But they won't. That won't make news. Vince doing the right. Vince is doing the right thing by people. Everybody wants to down Vince. And I'm not just sticking up for him because I'm with the company. I happen to work with this man personally and deal with him and talk to him. Yeah. So, again, sometimes, I'm just like, God damn it, Vince, what the hell? Damn it, Vince. But then there's other times I'm like, damn, Vince, that was good. You know, I mean, you're never going to be able to satisfy everybody.
Sure.
No matter how good it is. Listen, you can have 1 million people love the pay-per-view, but there'll always be that 1% that will sit there and go, oh, it sucked. It was horrible. So the idiot is actually saying, because I didn't go up to Vince McMahon and say something, that I'm a horrible person and the match was horrible. That match was great because I'm sorry, 15,000 or however many people were in that arena when they were chanting, "This is awesome." That shows me right there that son of a bitch has no idea what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean,
he needs to stick to his mama's breasts and keep sucking on that and stay at home and leave it for the big boys.
I mean, you could look at this in so many different forms of entertainment. And the first example that comes to mind for me would be Robert Downey Jr., who obviously decades ago had a lot of struggles, had a lot of legal issues, and now has become one of the most beloved actors on the face of the planet. He was allowed to apologize. He was allowed to make changes in his life, and he made those positive changes. Mm-hmm. And now we love the guy, but can you imagine if we never gave him that shot?
Well, nobody knows what another man is going through, another woman's going through. You don't know what their life details. You don't know why they're struggling. You have no idea why they have the demons that they have. So instead of kicking that individual when they're down, how about helping lift them up? You know, things of that nature. I get it, whether it's a repeat offender or not. Help them, lift them up. And don't call yourself a so-called Christian if you can't do that. Because if I'm not mistaken, that happened plenty of times in the Bible. And God was there to help them and lift them even when they did wrong.
Absolutely.
You know, the Bible says it best. David, who was one of his most beloved, person that he loved the most out of everybody, it seemed like in the Bible, other than his son Jesus, when he sat there and slept with Bathsheba, Bathsheba.
I should know.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. But when he slept, and had the wife's husband killed in battle, put him in the front line, so he was able to have him killed, and then that way he could be with his wife. Yeah. But yet, God loved him, kept him, and made him an iconic figure in the Bible. I mean, so however you look at it, regardless if you hit rock bottom or not, God is still there to pick you up. That's why sometimes we hit rock bottom. Number one, we lose faith, we lose him. Bathsheba, thank you, Josh. And I just, when people do things like that, I don't get it. I don't understand it, because when that first person falls from grace and falls down, he's not going to want to be criticized or left at the side. He's going to want people to help him to get him back to where he needs to be. And that's what you need to do. I'm sorry, man. People like that, I'm tired of it. Social media is so bad because it allows these people to have this platform to voice their nasty opinions about individuals. And it's wrong. Yeah. It really is wrong. If you don't like it, keep your damn mouth shut and go on about something else. If you don't like the match, fine. Don't watch the damn show. Don't be jackass about it.
That's right.
I did not expect that sort of reaction. I'm going to be honest. When I brought this up, I thought there was going to be some fun behind it. I didn't know it was going to be that much.
I just get very angry with some of these fans.
Is he always like this, Liv? Is he always like this?
I'm like, hi.
Hey, he could have warned the brother before he put you on. Because
that would be no fun.
I was like, okay, I'm on now.
Oh God, I like Liv to think that I'm like this, don't put nobody through tables. Now I don't wrestle no more. I'm this nice guy. Now she sees me going off on some fan, and she's like, "Oh my God, Dvon." How you doing, Liv?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great. I just want to tell you, your hair looks beautiful.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I just finished 5 minutes ago, and I was prepared to answer at the salon. I was like, "Hey."
Oh,
cool. You finished just in time.
That's great. Your hair looks phenomenal.
Thank you.
As you can tell by the way this is Mo up top. If you didn't know, I believe you met him last time. You know Lindsay right above me.
Hi.
As you can read everything below, everybody's happy to have you on the show. They're loving this, and I'm glad that you're on the show. I meant to ask you this 3 weeks ago. I want you to know this, and I never did, because you were so busy. You're backstage doing what you're doing, and I don't want to interrupt.
Never. I always got time for you, Dvon.
I know you do. You're always a sweetheart. Let me tell you something. When I first met Liv, I loved her to death, because here's why. We were sitting in catering at WWE house show, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, remind you, I just met her, And remind you, she let out the biggest belch in the world. And she just went, yeah, that was me. I was like, I looked at her and I said, I love you. I said, I love you. I said, you're such a lady. I love it. Nope.
Sounds about right.
Because she was herself. That's the one thing I love about Liv. She's so herself. And you're not going to get anything less than Liv Morgan. I love it.
Nice.
Phenomenal. And congratulations on a fantastic match at Money in the Bank. Excellent job between you guys. I know you came up short. You didn't win it, but that's okay. Your performance was still legendary in my opinion. And again, I loved that match. I watched it, and I watched it when I came home as well. I watched the whole show again. The whole show was just great. What is your feelings about now being able to perform in front of a crowd? How was that first feeling when you stepped out there after being away from them for about a year and a half, almost 2 years?
So you mean like Friday?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it was incredible. It was incredible. You know, just Dvon, like we do what we do for the fans, for that reaction, for that energy. We feed off their energy, and it makes everything so much more worth it. You know, it's hard to go out there and not have an actual physical crowd. I mean, the Thunderdome was great, but nothing compares to those thousands of people literally just feeding you their energy, you know, whether you're making them happy or sad. There's just nothing like it. And the WWE Universe was so warm and welcoming to me. And it's a moment I'll never, ever forget. You know, they chanted "You deserve it" at me, and that was like a career first, and it just meant so much, you know, that all the work we've been putting in over the past year and a half has translated, and it just meant so much. I can't even tell you. It's great to have them back, and I hope they never go anywhere ever again.
That's great. You and I both. I think you and I and the rest of the WWE talent hope that it never goes away again, because we don't know what we got until it's gone. I said that before you came on, and it's true. You know, I think a lot of us took the fans for granted because we never thought that we'd be performing in front of a ring with nobody in the audience.
Yeah.
And boy, did it make a difference. Oh, God, did it make a difference.
One thing that we thought never would happen, like that happened. You know, us performing with no fans, that's like, you never would have guessed.
Now, see, the first time I ever saw a match with no fans, not a TNA house show, but it was The Rock versus Mick Foley. They did something for a Super Bowl spectacular. I guess the WWE and the NFL collaborated and did something where those guys want to do a match without fans in the arena. And to us, I remember us watching it for the first time, it felt weird. I remember speaking to The Rock and Mick Foley. It felt really weird because you can't get hit with shit and then not be able to sell it the right way when nobody's cheering.
Yeah.
You know, it hurts.
Gotta be a little weird.
Yeah, it hurts. So it is what it is. But I'm glad everything is back to normal, and you guys are getting because you guys busted your behinds during the layoff from the fans, and you guys went out there and still performed. And even though it was hard, you guys still went out there and did what you had to do.
Oh, totally. I think, I feel like we're always going to do what we need to do at the end of the day, to have that product and to give the fans, the show that they deserve. But man, it's a blessing to have them back. It really, really, really is.
That's great. I mean,
I'm glad that's back to normal. That the wrestling world's back to normal. The hits, the bumps that you take might be a little bit easier now again because the crowd helps absorb it.
That'll never get easier.
Okay, well,
yeah, exactly.
Trying to be optimistic on this one here, but
that's why I'm sitting here now and letting you guys do the rest because it hurts. God, it hurts.
I can see that. Now, Liv, let me ask you a non-wrestling question real quick. What's your all-time favorite movie?
That is so hard. I really love Edward Scissorhands, but I don't think that's my favorite movie. And I really love Beetlejuice, but I don't know that that's my favorite either. That's like a little question that I don't think I could ever answer. And I really like The Grinch. I like The Grinch. Okay. I love all of the Child's Play movies. I don't know. Okay.
Well, the reason I ask is because even though wrestling's returning back to normal, this show's a little odd because the only time we could get all of our guests on was right now. And if you love going to the movies or watching movies, then this guy helps us keep track of it all. Eric Davis of Fandango, professional movie reviewer. Sir, how are you?
Hey, Rick.
What's going on? How's everybody
Hey.
doing?
How you doing, Eric?
What do you think of her choices, Eric, for favorite movies?
I like it. I like it. I'm kind of getting into that goth kind of arena, genre arena. Beetlejuice, I love. Edward Scissorhands, Big Tim Burton fan. I love that. Child's Play. Yeah, I think the original Child's Play is super underrated as a classic horror film. I think it's amazing, that first one. So yeah, I'm all over it. I love those choices.
You only like the first one.
You know what? I am the biggest fan of the first one. The other ones are okay.
Chucky.
Right? Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. But that first one is like legitimate.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Will either of you be watching the new TV show?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, for sure, without a doubt.
She seemed a little bit more excited about that than you did, Eric.
I will definitely check it out. And there's a new movie. There's a new movie too, that Aubrey Plaza that just came out recently. That's okay. It's harder than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
But it's good.
Okay. All right.
Well, I'm looking forward to 3 big movies that are coming out. The
What
Purge. The Purge is the new one. New Purge. The new Halloween movie
Yes.
that's coming out. And what was the other one? I said it what was the other one? God.
Was it The Conjuring?
The Conjuring.
So 2 of them are already out.
Yeah.
What's the 2?
Conjuring and Purge.
I didn't even know that. I had no idea. I'm still waiting for it because again, we've been out. Hold on, we've been out of touch for so long. Going to a movie theater, I had no idea these 2 movies were out already.
Conjuring was good. I didn't know the Purge was out. The Purge is out.
Yeah, the Forever Purge.
I'm gonna watch that tonight. Cool.
Oh
thanks.
man, okay. Well, I gotta end the show early because I'm going to Cinema World.
Got some movies to watch. Can't
Hold
talk
on.
anymore.
Hold on, Eric. I gotta ask you a question. Did you see those movies yet? Did you see those 2, The Conjuring and The Purge?
Yes. Both not the better of the sequels that those franchises hold. Personally, I think Conjuring 1 and 2 is better than the third one. But the third one is interesting because it's like based on a real life case. Like this really happened where a guy.
All of them were.
Yeah. Well, they're all based on real life cases. This one is like the most highest profile of the Warrens, of that duo, where this guy like killed somebody and then pleaded not guilty by reason of demonic possession. It was like the first time that had ever happened in the courts. So it's just a really interesting story. And that original exorcism, it opens with this exorcism of this boy, and that really happened. And I actually heard the real audio from it. It was really scary. So that's
the
cool.
controversy behind it. They keep saying the devil is okay, because there's some controversy behind that movie, and I didn't know why, but now I do. It's because they took the actual audio tape from the actual event and put it in the movie. So now they're like, they're like, oh, the devil is gonna come get you now, and this and that. And I'm like, I gotta watch this movie. Movie.
I wasn't the only one that noticed when Eric's talking about demonic possession that Liv actually cracked a little smile. I wasn't the only one that noticed that. Right?
I think Liv has been hanging out with Alexa Bliss too much. That's what it is.
I really enjoy it, but I believe in it, so I get scared. When I heard the audio, I was like, ooh, I don't want to make myself susceptible to,
Yeah.
It scares me.
Scary. No.
Makes sense.
No.
And Eric, how's the new Halloween? Since I assume you're the only one that's seen it out of us.
I wish. I haven't seen it yet. A lot of these films have been postponed and delayed, and so some of them I was able to see, like The Quiet Place Part 2, which is also really good. I was able to see that beforehand. But yeah, Halloween has not. If you're a horror fan, let me give you a couple that are coming up that I would highly recommend. You have Candyman actually at the end of August, which is a new Candyman. Which looks awesome. Yeah, that looks awesome. There's also, if you like Conjuring, the guy that came up with The Conjuring, James Wan, he did the first 2 movies. It was sort of his concept. He has a new original horror movie called *Malignant* that comes out, I want to say September 10th. That first trailer just dropped yesterday, and it looks crazy and cool. So that one I would recommend. And then, Halloween Kills comes out in October, and that's one of 2. They shot them back to back. The last Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends and so Halloween Kills comes out in October. But I haven't seen
Oh wow!
either of those films yet, but they
Wow.
all look really
Exciting.
awesome.
Wait a minute. So they shot the Halloween. When they finished that last one they made, they continued to shoot for the second one, but then they didn't release it till like 5-6 years later.
Well, they made the first one, and then they shot the second two back to back, and
wow.
those two will come out. I believe Halloween Kills is this year, and Halloween Ends is next year. So you'll get like a double dose of the Halloween movies, and the team that's doing this one is they're really good, and I think they'll be really good films. So I love that last one.
Hey, Liv. Since I didn't know you love possessed movies and stuff, you and I got to go see these movies. Well, you and I got to go
Have fun,
see
you
them.
guys. I'll stay home.
I wish you would have kept it at that. I know that you love possession, so let's go see this movie.
Let's figure it out.
Oh, that's great. Well, listen, I figured we see enough of it with Alexa Bliss. Sometimes, things fall out of the sky when she's around. She's got that damn doll.
More.
Say it again.
We need more.
We need more of it. We do. I mean, I told Alexa, I said, I don't know. I said, I'd be a little afraid having a relationship with you because I wake up in the middle of the night and you sitting up and your head starts spinning around. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. Can't do that. Nope, can't do that.
This is a different topic here. A lot of people are writing in though, wanting to know, Liv, when are you going to do your YouTube videos again?
Honestly, I have a hard time figuring out like content. What do I want to do this video on? It's really, really, really hard for me to figure it out. So soon, I definitely took an overextended break. I know I said I was back and then I was gone. This is quick. But I do want to start making videos again. Maybe I have more ideas because, we're on the road again. I don't know. Soon, though. I'm sorry. Soon.
All right.
Listen,
all right.
Liv, I don't think you ever have to apologize. Just you being on the screen, I guarantee you guys love it. Women love it. We all love it. So thank you for giving us that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, there's a lot of those comments coming in too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Eric. There's not as many for you, but I'm sure there's.
Yeah, I can't imagine there would be.
Oh.
but-
Hang on, let me log in real quick. Let me log in. I'll leave some comments for
It's
Eric
all
so he
good.
doesn't feel left out. Hang on.
Eric speaks his mind.
Well, let me ask you this. Mine is popcorn. Today is National Snack Food Day,
Oh,
and we'll start with our movie reviewer. Eric, what's your favorite snack?
I'm a Twizzlers guy, not Red Vines. I'm one of those people that is like obsessive with Twizzlers, and I rail against Red Vines because I think they're the imposter of Twizzlers. So yeah, Twizzlers would be my jam.
Nice.
Okay, all right.
What
The
about
fake
you,
cane
Liv?
of candy. Yeah, Liv. What about you?
I also like Twizzlers, but I think my favorite movie theater snack is I get like a bucket of popcorn and then I'll get cookie dough bites and then I open the cookie dough bites and I put it in the popcorn and then I shake it and then I get,
Oh,
I get the salty, the buttery, the chocolate, which is my favorite flavor combinations. So
What if you're at home? What if you're at home, not at the movies though? What's your favorite snack?
damn.
all the hard questions today.
My favorite snack not at the movie. I don't know. I really like everything.
Like if it's a cheat day, what do you go for?
I cheat every day.
Okay, all right.
That's good.
See, I hate people like Liv when she says that because she says she cheats every day. I love to cheat every day. I would love to do that. I would be.
No, like
Huh?
I'll have whatever I want, but I won't I'll have like 2 pieces of pizza instead of 4. Like I'll cheat every day, but in moderation. I don't like to deny myself, Dvon.
It's good.
Well, Dvon
Okay,
didn't like that
well,
answer, so
Way
He's
to
gone.
go. Way to
I'm taking one space for now.
go. He needs a moment.
I'm Dvon now.
is this true? Liv loves Fruity Pebbles bars.
I love, yes, Brian.
And now we lost her audio. She really is the next Dvon. Okay, now she's back. Okay.
Oh my gosh, really? Did I disappear?
Yeah, that's all right. Lindsay, what about you?
For snacks
Yeah,
at the movie theater, or okay, movie theater, of course.
it's just snack food.
Snack. Chips.
That's
I love
in
chips.
general.
Chips. Salt and vinegar chips.
Salt and vinegar chips.
Salt and vinegar chips. So good.
What
Those
about
are my favorite.
pickles?
I love pickles. I like the pickled chips. I like those too.
Dvon,
Oh, welcome
go.
back.
Thank you.
Dvon,
I
that was
didn't miss
you.
it.
We missed you.
We thought
Sorry
you just
about
didn't
that.
like her answer.
You're like,
No, I didn't.
I wish I could cheat
answer.
every day. Click.
I was waiting to hear the answer, and it just stopped.
We got some background noise from you, Liv. You driving with the windows open?
No, I'm sitting in my car, but there are people driving past me
Okay.
pretty fast.
All right.
I'm parked and I'm safe.
Okay. All right. That's
Well,
good.
that's good.
Well,
Not
Liv,
so safe. The I got to ask ERIK about this one. Summer movies here. Suicide Squad coming out in a few weeks. Tell us about it.
I have
I've
seen
only
that one. Yeah, I have seen that one. It's great. It's crazy R-rated, so keep that in mind. But I think it's exactly the kind of film that the Suicide Squad, deserve. James Gunn directed it. He wrote it. He did the 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies from Marvel. So it's like aggressively violent, and there's like brain splattering and guts spilling out of characters, and their characters die and stuff. But it also has like this immense heart to it, because ultimately it's just about a group of crazy people that just want to be loved and want a family, and to sort of find it in each other. And so like it's got that sweetness to it and that aggressive violence to it, and the two together just make for like a really fun time at the movies. Just keep in mind that it is a bit violent and R-rated. But this is like the best of Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. I think she's fantastic in it. I love her storyline in it. I think Idris Elba is fantastic in it as well, and just a really great cast. So I would highly recommend that one. That comes out, I want to say, August 5th.
Awesome.
Oh,
I will.
That was a fantastic description. I'm invested.
Tickets are now on sale at Fandango Live. So you're all set.
Great.
I'm gonna go get them.
Can tickets be on sale for The Conjuring and The Purge too? Because apparently, I don't know.
We're gonna miss them here soon.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
They were out.
I think they're both on demand. They may be both available at home. I know. I want to say Conjuring is for sure, so you can watch that at home on demand. And I want to say Purge, if it's not out yet, it'll be available very soon. But Purge is still in theaters. Conjuring, I don't know if it's still in theaters.
Here's the deal with The Conjuring. I'd rather watch it at my hotel when I'm on the road. I don't want to watch it in my house, because if I hear those demonic tapes, I don't want it following me and being in my home. So I'd rather have
They'll
it
come
somewhere
right
else.
through. They'll come right through the TV.
So you bring them to work and give them to Liv.
Liv put
Okay.
them
I'm
into
on the
place.
road, and I don't even like to scroll past scary movies on Netflix when I'm on the road. Like
Really?
I try to be PG, Disney, or like Top Chef. Like I cannot have anything stressful, suspenseful, triggering, scary. I get so paranoid. I'll look for home.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I don't like any of it ever, so it's fine.
So Liv, I know you have to go. I know your schedule. I can believe me. I know WWE. They got you doing everything. So I know we're gonna have to let you go. Where can we find you on social media, Liv?
Ooh, you could find me at You Only Live Once with 2 V's on Twitter and Instagram. And that's like all I have. So Twitter.
And a YouTube that may or may not get updated
Yeah,
too.
my YouTube may or may not get updated. Stay tuned. Wish for the best.
Yes, we'll do. Well, Liv,
Sounds
thank
good.
you so much for being on the show. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for coming back. We hope to get you back for a third time as well. The fans
Anytime.
love you. We love you. Thank you so much for being on here. And the best of luck, Maybe, the next Money in the Bank match, maybe take a page out of my book and use a table and throw their ass to a table and get that
I'm
briefcase.
looking at the Royal Rumble now, though, Dvon.
Uh-oh. What Royal Rumble? Wait, what?
Mhm.
Next Money in the Bank. I'm not going to wait a whole year.
You're gonna do the Royal Rumble 2020.
I'm looking
21.
at the Royal Rumble.
Or 22, I should say.
Yeah.
Liv, listen, if anybody can do it, it's you.
Thank you.
It's definitely you. Listen, thank you so much. We'll be talking soon. I will see you at the next live WWE event, not the house shows, but the next television event. And you stay safe Friday, and you stay safe. And again, excellent job they did on your hair. Excellent.
Oh, thank you.
Tell them I'm on my way. I'm gonna get mine done.
I thought that's what it was about. I thought you were interested in getting that.
So squeeze you in.
That'd be so cute.
Listen, I have trouble all the time when I wake up in the morning. My hair goes in front of my face. I need to cut my bangs.
Yeah.
You got to put it in a braid.
Exactly.
I sleep within a little braid, wake up, and it's just already done for you, ready to go. Nice little wave.
Hair tips by Liv.
Well, thank you, Liv. You take care of yourself.
Thank you, guys.
I'll see you Friday.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
love.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
And now, so we got her thoughts at the very beginning about returning to live crowds and whatnot, performing in front of an audience again. This guy also, I suppose you'd have an opinion on crowds returning to the theaters. Was there actually a scare of theaters shutting down, like no box office if the pandemic would have continued?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was definitely a lot of uncertainty, people didn't know what was going to happen, and I think that went for a lot, I mean, I remember when schools closed, it was like they're closing for 2 weeks and then everybody will be back. So, I mean, when it first happened, it was like, all right, well, movie theaters will open up in July. It'll be a couple of months. And then it was August. And then they tried opening a couple of movies and it didn't really work as well. And then everything closed down again. So it's just been this kind of back and forth. But I always knew that there would be a time when the vaccines would come and things would sort of come and get under control and theaters would be back open. And, Black Widow, which just opened up recently, the Marvel film, was on over 4,000 screens. And that's huge. That means theaters are sort of back open around the country. And I know they're opening up in Ontario and Canada. I know I have a lot of Canadian friends that have been hurting because the movies have been opening up here, but they haven't been opening up there. And I know I have a lot of friends, in like Southeast Asia, especially Malaysia and places like that. Theaters are still shuttered, and a lot of Marvel fans over there too. So, we're coming back, but I think that it's a longer road. It's a marathon, so to speak, not a sprint. And so don't count out the box office just yet, as much as like journalists like to look at 1 week of movies and be like, that's it, it's over. It's a bit of a marathon. And I think as we get into the fall and the winter and then 2022, it'll be a bit more normal than what we're expecting,
Hey, let me ask you a question. And talking about a movie that we already discussed, not in detail, but one of the movies you saw was The Quiet Place.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling Mo and Lindsay that I was a little confused at certain things. I don't know why you laughing, Mo.
Because I know where this is going.
I basically got a little confused. And so did my wife, too. So did Taylor. Because 1 minute where
I have a visitor.
Oh, wow. 1 minute we're watching and they're at the baseball field.
Yes.
Instead of playing baseball, we see the whatever coming in the air. I thought it was an airplane that crashed or something. But we see them running. The last thing I remember, they're in a restaurant underneath the table. Here comes the aliens or monsters, and they come in to do that. Now we go back to another part of the film where now, like, he's gone. Apparently now he's dead, and the wife is now traveling with the 2 kids. It was like out of nowhere. What?
Spoilers ahead, guys. Whoever's watching. Spoilers.
It's a valid sort of question because
thank you very much. Thank you. Mo,
I
watched
it with my family too, and they were a little thrown off in terms of like, what does this mean? And I think if you didn't watch the first Quiet Place right before part 2, it may take a minute to kind of jog your brain in terms of the events of that film. And so basically, the events of the first film happened, and then this second film started on the first day of that month, the monsters coming. And so they
but it tells you.
back.
But it tells you day 0. It tells you.
Yeah, but if you haven't just watched the first film, then you may not understand the fact that that's how they tell you the passage of time.
No, what he's trying to say is it told you it was going back and then it came forward again.
And he just didn't read the screen.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I must have been on my phone at the time. Just saying.
That's weird.
I mean,
the reading of the screen.
I just got confused. Though. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the movie wasn't good. The movie was great. But that part just threw me off because I remember in the first one, he died.
Yeah, he does.
He died in the first one. So when I'm watching the second one and he's first thing you see is him on the screen, I'm like, what the hell? I thought he was dead.
Yeah. Well, it was cool. I think a lot of people wanted to see like more of like, how did these monsters get here? Like, what happened? And so that opening 10 minutes is fantastic, by the way. And when she's driving the car and then she has to hit reverse and go back as the bus is coming at her, like all of that was done in like one single take. That's really Emily Blunt doing all of the driving. John Krasinski jokes that he was like, I put my wife behind the wheel of a car and sent the bus at her. And so like she's like legitimately, I think, a bit scared in that scene because that's all really happening in real time. And so it's a really fantastic way of filmmaking. I think Krasinski really uses tension in a bit of a masterful, like Spielbergian way. There's a lot of shots in that movie that remind me of Steven Spielberg shots. So I love the opening sequence, but I could see if you like missed the whole day 1, day 400 and whatever, it may throw you off a little bit. So I get it.
Okay. All right. Simo, wasn't that bad.
See, he's diplomatic. That's fine. He's a nice guy. Me, I'm going to call you out on this. Pay attention to the screen,
like you always do. One of the questions I want to ask also is that how did the monsters get there? I mean, we saw the fire in the air, but it still didn't show us how they got there. What? It was a big explosion. They fell off the thing and landed on Earth.
I mean, they're making a third movie, so I imagine Paramount has their own streaming service now, Paramount Plus. I could see them creating a TV series. So I think they're very strategically releasing amounts of information that they want because they don't want to give you the whole wing bam boom, and then they don't have a lot of story space for another 4 sequels and 2 TV shows, So some of that information they're holding on to.
But we saw the explosion in the air, everybody running from the baseball field, but we never saw the monsters falling out of the plane if they were in the plane, or whatever that object was in the air that exploded. We never saw what that was, or never saw what came out of that. And all of a sudden, they just appeared on Earth. They started just killing people.
Don't you think that adds to it, though, that we don't know anything about them? That's why it's so scary?
No, here's the thing. If you're talking about this is I need to know. To me, it's like this. If you're Jason or Michael Myers, I don't want to see what's underneath the mask. Because as far as I'm concerned, once you show me that, I'm done. Because now I'm not scared anymore. He looks normal. And if he doesn't look normal, if he looks like a being, then no. I'll give you a prime example. I never thought in pro wrestling, Kane, the mask should ever came off. I thought the mask should have stayed on. That's my opinion. I think once the mask comes off, it loses appeal.
Uh-oh.
And we lost Mo. I guess he didn't like
that.
He
did not like that. Did you see his face too? He was like, "Oh, bye."
But to a certain degree, you're like that the argument you're making about the mask is when you take off a mask, you're not as scared anymore. I mean, to a certain degree, it's the same thing. If you know exactly, detail by detail where the monsters came from, what's their planet, what does the ship look like, how do they get off that ship? If you know all of those details, you may not be as scared as seeing a fireball in the sky and then all of a sudden a monster, screeches across your car. So I think the same kind of concept applies to the mask or no mask. Sometimes the less you know, the scarier it is. Mm-hmm. I think that's why a lot of people get on, but that's the complexity of like a Halloween, right? Because you want to know more about Michael Myers. You want to know about his history. You want to know more about the mythology, but you also don't want to know because the less you know, the scarier it is. And that's always been like the battle.
I'll give you a prime example. The Star Wars, the last Star Wars, or the Star Wars before the last one, when the mask came off the guy right before he killed his father, it was like everybody was very disappointed at that because it was like they felt that the mask should not have come off. And we've had this conversation on the show before, Mo. As far as I'm concerned, I think he would have been left because we didn't see Darth Vader until he died.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what he looked like. You know, so
Well,
all those years of seeing Vader underneath the mask, to me, that was the appeal. But once you took off the mask, that was it. It was over.
well, what's interesting is that, you know, with Darth Vader, and I agree, like, you know, it's scarier under the mask, but the journey of Darth Vader isn't, you know, the conflict within him. The conflict within Vader, really, you don't really play with that until the end, until the Return of the Jedi, when Luke is trying to get him back from the dark side. But really, the conflict within Kylo Ren plays out throughout all three of those Star Wars movies. And so it does make sense to a degree that we're seeing him in the mask and without the mask, because that plays into the story that they had for him, where it's like he hasn't gone all the way to where Darth Vader is. He's kind of in between, and he's wrestling with, you know, with who he wants to be versus who he should be, who he's meant to be. So I like that.
But did we not see a little bit of that in certain scenes with, I think it might have been Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back, when Luke was trying to bring that out of him, and you saw a moment where he would sit there and think about it because it was registering what Luke was saying, and then he would go back to being the evil Vader. I mean, to me, he did it with the mask on, and it still looked. I mean, to me, whenever Vader walked on the screen, it was like, oh my God, like when they were redoing all the Star Wars movies, and it was like we were waiting and waiting. When I remember when Vader came on the screen for the first time, you heard that. And, you know, everybody was like, yes, they would cheer. They were loving it because Vader was such an iconic figure in the movie industry that I thought it was great. I think it, and that's the way I feel about Michael Myers and Jason. Like in part 2, when the mask came off of Jason right before he went through the window, my thing was, why? He's got to be, number one, he's human. We know that. But then you have his face looking all distorted and everything. I'm just like,
That's the rub, right, of it, is that fans want to see them without the mask on.
And they
but
don't.
when you and they don't want to see it, you know? And so it's like, how do you wrestle with that? You know, with Vader, the suit's really keeping him alive. And so it does make sense that he never really takes off that helmet until he's on his deathbed. But Kylo Ren doesn't have that issue. It's really a costume that he's dressing up as in order to present himself more like his grandfather, to be that legacy of Vader. But he's wrestling with it, you know?
Plus, I would say, and saying wrestling with it is something that Dvon relates to, so use that expression more. But if they did the exact same thing with Kylo Ren as Darth Vader, then Dvon, you'd be sitting here, they tried to do Darth Vader again, but didn't do it right. I'm like,
no, I'm not.
I'm glad they had to go a different route.
No, I'm not one of those guys. See, I can sit down and appreciate a movie when I watch it, and then they go, "Oh, they should have did this, or they should have did that." My opinion is, I just don't think they should have taken off the mask. To me, it lost its appeal once it did.
But he wasn't the main villain, though. So
where in
Kylo wasn't the. Yeah.
No, he wasn't. But still, I mean, when he was fighting the girl and the mask came off, I was just like, oh, it made him look human. You know, I'm looking at him with the mask on. He's not human to me. But when you take the mask off, he's human. He's just like you and me.
Well, they wanted that. They wanted that reaction. I think they wanted to humanize him a little bit more than they did Vader. So this way you're sort of rooting for him, like you're both scared of him and rooting for him at the same time.
Right.
So, you know, but I agree that, you know, they didn't really stick the landing when it came to the entire story, but
yeah.
But it was.
Let me ask you a question. What's the character in the episode 1, which I got in back of me, the pinball machine, Darth Maul? Why was he? What was the deal with him? Why was it such a short appearance for him? I mean, it was like they built the whole movie around him. And then you only see him in clippings here and there. And then all of a sudden, after the major fight, he's gone. And it wasn't even a big finale on how they got rid of him. He fell off the edge, I believe. He got hit or something. Fell off the edge.
He got cut in half.
Yeah.
Oh, he got cut in half.
Hard to come back from that.
He was so to me, it looked like they were making him bigger than Vader. So for him to be cut in half like that, it was like when they did episode 1, they basically built that whole episode around him. I remember the marketing, the dolls, even my pinball machine that's sitting here now. His face is right there planted on it. It's like it was huge. And then all of a sudden, for him to get cut in half like that, and then it was over. I was like, no, Yoda's gonna come back and put them together. And then in the next one, Yoda will bring him back, but he'll turn on Yoda, and then we'll have another Darth Vader on our hand. That's what I was hoping, but we didn't see that.
Well, what's interesting is that a lot of people agree with you, especially the people at Lucasfilm. So, I mean, that was a decision that George Lucas made that a lot of people later on disagreed with, and they have brought him back. They brought him back in the animated shows, and they brought him back very briefly at the end of that Han Solo movie. And to kind of flirt with the fact that he's still around, and where we may see that live action version of Darth Maul show up again at some point. There's an Obi-Wan show that's coming out for Disney Plus. Maybe he shows up there. And so I mean, I agree. It was a bad decision to just keep him in one movie. The good thing about that is that everybody that's making Star Wars today agrees with you, and they're bringing him back in different ways.
Yeah, Mo, they agree with me. I ain't that crazy.
I'm a little disappointed. I typed in Darth Maul, Dvon Dudley, and nobody has combined you yet. But hopefully, if I put this out there, it'll happen.
Listen,
even if I have to do it.
If it does, I'm gonna be a rich man. I'm leaving WWE, and I'll be a rich man. I'm taking Table Talk to another level at that point.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I know we got to wrap things up here. Last thing I have for you, Eric, of all the huge movies coming out this year, maybe early next year, is there one that you pick that you think is going to surprise people? Like either. Like something that's small that's going to be huge, something that maybe the story's better than we expect. Like, what's one that you think we should watch out for?
I mean, I think this Spider-Man movie at the end of the year, it's already a big movie, but I think it's going to be like a comic book movie like we've never seen before. If you're any kind of Marvel fan, you're watching that Loki show, you know that the multiverse is coming, and the rumors are that they're going to bring back like all of the Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and the villains. It feels like it's going to be not just this giant Spider-Man movie, but also like a really fun culmination of the cinematic Spider-Man that we've known for the last 2 decades. And so I think that movie, it's a bit of a cheat because it's already going to be a big movie, but I think it's the one I'm the most fascinated with because I am a child of those early Sam Raimi, Spider-Man movies. And I want to see his characters. I want to see Garfield. I want to see those characters. I want to see like every franchise Spider-Man and the villains in one movie. I think it's going to be a lot. But I think it's going to be really cool and historic.
And Dvon, when he says Garfield, he means Andrew Garfield, not the cat that you read in the Sunday comics.
Lasagna.
I honestly thought he was talking about the one.
Were you like, I want some like lasagna? It's crazy.
I know. I'm looking forward to
I want some
Spider-Man.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah, that does sound. Eric, if people want to follow you
the
off,
place to do it is on Twitter at ERIK with a K Davis, and I'm always hanging out on there. And I just mentioned they just cast Leslie Grace from The Girl from In the Heights as the new Batgirl. They're making a Batgirl movie.
I just got that notification.
So I'm talking about that now with fans. The guys that did Bad Boys for Life are directing it, so that looks really cool. So just hit me up on Twitter. I'm always over there talking movies and happy to have you join the conversation.
I used to talk to Eric every single week on my radio show. I miss talking to you on a regular basis.
I miss you, man.
I miss you as well.
Well, Eric, let me ask you a question before we let you go. I was half asleep in my hotel room in Dallas, and the TV was on and the news was on. Did you do something for a television show in Dallas?
If it was a Fox station,
yes,
possibly. Yeah. I do a weekly thing with Fox that goes out to all the local Fox stations. Right. So if you're in some random city and you have their local Fox station on, there's a chance that you may see me pop up talking about movies.
I did see
I know him. I know him.
I said that. I was like, man, he's going to be on our show this week. I feel good.
I love saying Eric's quotes. Like, you can pay attention whenever you see these movie commercials or trailers, and there's, this one needs to be experienced on the big screen.
Yes.
Pay attention to who said it, because quite often this guy is quoted.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
You see me there.
Kind of a big deal.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time today, sir.
And I'm going to try to get your number because I think you and I should go see The Quiet Place again. and I'll start pointing out stuff. So then that way we can tell Mo to shove it.
For sure. I've watched it 3 times. I love the film. I think it's
Yeah,
great.
it was. I thought it was a great. Like I said, I just got confused when I saw 1 minute the husband was alive, and the next minute he was dead. So he was back to being dead again. So I got confused. I didn't know if I was back in the time or we're gonna go back. I don't know. That was the only thing. But other than that, I thought it was great. I mean, it had me suspenseful. Made my wife jump. You know, she jumped a couple of times, and it made me jump because she's grabbing me. I'm like, stop grabbing me! What the hell is wrong with you? Stop!
It worked. It did its job.
Yes, it did.
That's right.
We'll talk again soon, Eric. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks,
man.
Eric.
Take care, guys.
Bye, buddy.
All right.
Right, and for our last guest of the day.
Oh,
the pussycat.
What? You're shy now? Okay, no.
Yeah.
She had all this stuff she had to say earlier. No,
but now she doesn't want to talk.
She was like, pick me up, pick me up, pick me up.
Just needs the camera time. It's
I
all
guess
right.
so.
You know what they need to do? You know what they need to do? We had Cujo as a dog, right? You need to do Cujo the cat.
Cujo the cat?
I mean, you had Pet Cemetery where the cat was kind of a big part of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the cat died. They buried it, and then it came back alive. It was evil. But that's different.
All right. We'll
Zombie
make a
cat.
Cujo, Cat Joe. Yeah.
All right.
Just for you. On that note, unfortunately, bad news. No table talk next week.
Yeah.
Unless the two of you want to do it without me.
Well, I wouldn't know how to go in and out like you do. I don't have the producers.
I would give it to Lindsay. I would let Lindsay do that. Yeah.
I would
If you
totally
did
do
that, it would. Yeah, I know you would, because it would be on you the whole time.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, see,
No,
look at it.
no,
Just like that
no.
the whole
Stop.
time.
Oh no, put it away. Stop
See,
it.
look at that.
No,
See?
I don't like my face that big. I'll do it again.
Don't do it. You're making it. You're building a monster. Don't do it.
What?
So episode 82 coming up in 2 weeks. No guests set up yet, but as soon as we know, we will let you know. Guys, thank you for your time today.
Yes, thank you so much, guys.
Thanks.
It's been a pleasure, and all your comments, and even to the jackass that made the comment about a certain individual in the company. Bro, get your shit together. Stop acting stupid and putting people down when they're down, because
That's right.
you're gonna hit rock bottom as well. And when you do, nobody will be there to pick you up, my friend.
That's right.
They help build her ego.